You're about to enter the JGowah and General Custer No Woke Zone, coming right at you.
Well, I'm laughing about. So I watch a lot of Newsmax, and they bring commentators on, like some folks that push the pro gun control debate, and they always have the same talking points. We need reasonable gun control, and what really bothers me is that there isn't a lot of pushback, and I get where Newsmax is coming from, because they don't want to look biased, so they're gonna give this guy a few minutes, and they're gonna push back a little bit, but it's hilarious
so who did they have
to
on?
me. I've never seen the guy before, but he was from New York. So basically, he characterized all gun owners. He said, "Look, we need reasonable gun control," and he characterized all gun owners as ignorant rednecks that don't have hygiene. And he said, we don't. I know that you gun owners want to ride
smell?
around. No, you're good.
I smell something.
I have no idea. Oh, bullshit.
Exactly.
So, but this guy, he was saying, like, I understand that you gun owners want to ride around in your pickup trucks and shoot rattlesnakes with AR-15s. But he said we need common sense gun control. We need background checks. We need background checks at gun shows, and and you don't need some guns are okay.
Well, Conrad Biden was saying that.
Because he's got the talking
we need to have background checks at gun shows.
We should start that.
But we already do it.
Right. Yeah, because every gun show that I go to, and I go to every one of them, whether you're a private seller or not, you still have to go through the background check that's there. Like, that's the standard of the show.
There is third-party sales you can do it.
Yeah. But you still have to go through the background check.
No, you don't.
Yeah, you do. I'm telling you.
All right. I'm gonna argue with you about this, because I know for a fact.
Got it.
Because you can walk in. I've been to gun shows.
Right.
I've been with my business at a gun show.
Okay,
if you're a third-party seller,
right.
You can't have a stand there. You can't rent a spot. But you can go to the gun show, and these are the people that hold up the little poles, and they say, they say 30-30 for sale, or whatever, and they can make a sale.
Right, but they would probably go to the parking lot to do it. But if you, like, I have a booth, I pay for a table there. So if you, and everyone that I know, everyone that's in there is the
rent a spot, I rent a spot at a gun show. I'm going to have all my stuff, and then I do the background checks from there, and I have to let the ATF know that I'm doing a gun show. I'm doing it from there, or I'm doing it from in my home if I go mobile. And any gun that I sell, so each individual FFL is there. There's not one spot you do it in.
So if you're walking out with a gun, they check to make sure you've gone through the background check process.
Yeah.
And that and that it has to be, you have to have the paperwork saying, like, you got it. So there are a few people that are walking around with a private gun that just says 30-30, $800 or whatever. But they're not selling it in the gun show. They're going out to the parking lot, and they're, like, doing their thing. So everything that's happening in the gun show, like, does go through that background check process. But what I like to point out to people is that going to a gun show, you're competing with gun dealers. So most private people are not going to go to a gun show to sell a gun, for the same reason that if I was selling my car, I wouldn't be going to a car show and competing with car dealers that are getting it, right. Like, you can't compete with these people. Like, and especially like pawn shops. Pawn shops are getting, a gun for 25% of the value. Sometimes 10%. Like, it's fucking crazy. Like, no one, you are not going to go to a gun show as a private person and sell probably anything. Like, and there's only a handful of people that are walking around. Like, back in the day, 20 years ago, it was kind of wide open.
Well, 4 or 5 years ago, I can remember a lot of guys walking around.
Yeah, and I'm sure.
And they're going to say, well, here's a, Smith & Wesson Model 19 wheel gun, and the guy's selling it, an FFL. He might be selling it for, just an arbitrary price here, $750.
Right.
Then some guy might be walking around selling one for $200. How do you know where he got it?
Right, and that's true.
You might have stole it.
Yep, you might.
You don't know.
Nope.
And then you're going to go out in the parking lot and make a deal with him. So I've never bought from a private gun dealer. You just gave me a story about that, didn't you? Going out, this guy with the heroin.
Right, like he's a meth addict. Right, and he has a gun for sale.
Yeah, and I want to sell you this gun, man. And it's like, I don't think so. I'm not going to buy it.
Well, and that's the problem, I think, with the folks that we share this with, is that the people that are in the gun community, we were talking about how there's basically three kinds of gun owners in my view. There's the people that don't give a damn. Like, they will leave garbage at every range, they'll buy and sell to anyone, and the wannabe gun dealers have fucked it up for everyone. These are the folks that, they have this outlaw mentality, like, we're staying off the radar of the BATF and you're selling a bunch of guns. Like, they're not helping anything. They are the problem. Because every time something goes wrong, the other side uses this. Like, the other side, they are opportunists. They never let a crisis go to waste. They're always going to push gun control. And, they're never going to deal with real world issues like, Detroit, Chicago violence. Like, every liberal-run, Democrat-run hellhole makes Honduras look like a nice place to live. Like, no one ever pushes back and says, like, if the gun control you wanted nationwide was working, we would see this in Democrat cities. Like, we just don't push that argument. But, so we've got those gun owners, and then we have the gun owners that have good intentions but just bad judgment. Like there was a guy that walked into an Atlanta airport with an AR-15, and he was in the news because he didn't pass the security checkpoint, and it was loaded. He didn't have one in the chamber, but he had a loaded magazine, he had it strapped on his back, and he walked into an airport because he wanted to prove that you can. And of course, airport security, and they came out and swarmed him and talked to him, but he was saying, I'm not going past, security, and this is still open to the public, and I have a right to be here. And he's exactly right. And the problem with that kind of gun owner is the other side uses that to characterize all of us as a bunch of fucking lunatics.
Right.
Because no reasonable person, we don't do things just because we can. Like, well, just because we can is not a good reason.
Well, you know what you get arrested for?
Yeah.
Is creating a nuisance.
Yeah, that's true too.
Yeah, because he didn't violate any gun laws. So you're still going to get arrested.
Right, but he didn't help the cause.
No, he didn't help the cause. He actually made it worse.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah.
And so, like, the grandfather in Idaho, he was trying to make a point. The grandfather in Idaho, that his granddaughter brought the AR-15 to the Idaho legislature because he wanted to talk about responsible gun ownership, and his point was, my granddaughter knows about guns, I've taught her about guns, and she can safely carry this gun. But both of these people should know that the media is never going to portray us honestly. So how the headlines, what the headlines of these stories read is, man carries loaded AR-15 into an airport. Like, most people aren't going to read that article, and they're not going to look into it, and it's not reported in an honest way. They're just going to think like a gun owner, crazy person walked into an airport. So the article, and it was in the Salt Lake Tribune, I believe, but in Idaho, and it was nationwide, 13-year-old girl carries AR-15 into Idaho legislature. And she did. She was with her grandfather. But they didn't talk about that part.
Yeah.
Right?
They're just, and the average communist that reads that. Communist?
Oh, totally. Yeah,
these are the former Democrats.
Right.
Former Democrats.
But you had a good point. Like, we should just, they are communists. So let's just...
Yeah, the new Communist Party.
Right, the modern Marxists. Right.
New Communist Party. Yeah, it's Comrade Biden's new Communist Party. So that would, the acronym would be NCP, right? NCPs.
Yeah, the new
Communist Party.
New Communist Party, yeah.
So your average new Communist Party person would read that article and think, "Oh my goodness, they're taking a gun into the legislature."
Yeah.
Legislation.
We need reasonable guns.
And that's as far as they're going to read, because they can't read very well.
No. Well, and they don't want to. They don't want to know about it. And this is the other frustrating part about the anti-gun crowd is that, everyone has an opinion, but the value of an opinion is based on your knowledge of that. Like, the value of opinions are not equal. So I don't pretend that I know about the affordability or quality of feminine hygiene products. I can have an opinion on those as a guy. I can have an opinion on that, but it doesn't really mean anything. Especially
were you ever married?
I was. And
you said they're all over the house in the bathroom. And,
yeah. But see, like my personal experience with it, like I'm not knowledgeable about that.
You never used them on yourself.
No, I never did. And I don't know anything about women's health, so I can have an opinion about that. But it's not, doesn't mean it's a valuable opinion. So the people that are pushing gun control and that are buying all these Democrat talking points, whether it's Democrat or modern communist voters or the modern communist leadership, they don't know anything about guns. So so their opinion on guns is about as valuable as my opinion on women's health. Since I drive trucks.
This leads me to a little story. So a gentleman came in the other day. His daughter's an actress. He lives right here in Utah, Tooele. And I won't say his name, but just a funny guy. He shares this little story with me about his daughter, and she's a conservative actress. Okay, she's actually done some films you might know about. But so one of the producers or executive, somebody, he's a very liberal. Somebody broke into his house in California, and ransacked it and blah blah blah. He says, I'm so scared. And so he approaches this guy's daughter and says, can I borrow your gun?
Yeah, wish we could.
And she goes, no.
Not in California.
No, you can't borrow them. Not anywhere.
Yeah.
No, you're not going to borrow them. But I'm afraid. No. So here's the thing. The communist Democrats, okay, they're okay with you can't have a gun until they need one.
Right. Yeah.
All of a sudden.
And, what is it, 7 million first-time gun owners? Like, I don't think these people are the, truck driving, AR-15, shooting, rattlesnake, murdering rednecks.
Well,
like,
I do
the people, right.
I do concealed carry classes, and I get a lot of people from, out of state, California coming in, and I do mine very focused.
Right.
So, I make sure even when they leave, they can handle guns, they're safe with guns and everything. I don't just, do a juggling act.
Right.
But I'll tell you what I get most of is a lot of liberals are coming in. They don't know what end of the gun the bullet exits from. And they are totally inept from how it works, what's going on. And sometimes I feel like they shouldn't even be buying a gun. But when they leave, they're safe gun handlers.
Right.
They know what they're doing.
And they have a basis of knowledge.
And they have a good base of knowledge. Right. But I'm seeing so many people coming from California into our state, and what scares me is this: they're bringing their ideology here.
Oh, exactly. Yeah.
It didn't work in California. That's why they're moving,
right.
And now they're going to bring the same thoughts and ideas and try to incorporate it here to do it over again.
So when I was on Facebook,
so they're living the same nightmare over and over.
When I was on Facebook, I've been off since like early January, but there's a female Democrat that's running for, I don't remember what her position is. She's running for city council, like something like that in Salt Lake. And so she made this post on her Facebook page about how we are changing Utah culture to be more progressive. Yeah. And this lady gets on there and she says, there's a blue wave coming. She said, we are coming from all over the country. There's a blue migration. And I couldn't help it. Like, I should have just shut the fuck up, but I couldn't help it. Right now, because it doesn't help anything. Yeah. So I got on there and I was like, and I don't remember her name, but I said, whatever her name was, let's talk about this for a minute. Why is there a blue migration? Why are Democrats on the move? Conservatives aren't on the move. Libertarians, constitutionists, red state citizens are not moving. Moving's hard. Yeah, you're going to upset your social life. It's expensive. You've got to change everything. You're moving to a new place. Why would people move? I said, you're moving because you have to. You're moving because you're a woke liberal moron that's voted for woke liberal morons that have created policies which turned your city into a filthy, impoverished, criminally violent hellhole that makes Honduras look like a nice place to live. And now you have to leave, like rats from a sinking ship. And now you're going to move here.
And you're so stupid.
Right. Yeah.
You're so stupid.
Because you have you are so unaware and just, incredibly ignorant of your own thoughts, motivations, logic, reason. That you come here and you vote for the same people that fucked up the last place you lived where you had to flee like rats from a sinking ship. And here you are. And the whole...
Doing it again.
Right. And it's a religion. She said, we are turning Utah blue. So I said, where you lived was blue, and you couldn't afford to live there anymore. So you're moving to a place, a red state, that you're going to turn blue, that will force you to leave again.
Isn't that Einstein's theory? Isn't that Einstein's theory? He says if you do something over and over and over again, and you get the same result.
Yeah.
If you keep doing it, you're what?
Right. You're insane.
You're insane. But that's what they're doing.
Well, and that's what's so great.
You know what Bongino says about this? And I like his analogy. He says, most conservatives have two lives.
Sure.
The ones where they fucked everything up, and then the one they're living in now.
Right.
Liberals never move out from the first life. They keep fucking up. They're never going to get there.
Right. And a lot of that is because there's two things. I think there's two important steps to that. First is they're selling collectivism. So it doesn't matter if something is bad for me as an individual, especially if, according to identity politics, I'm a recipient of white privilege and all these things. So it doesn't matter what happens to me. Like, if you are a resident of anywhere where they're defunding the police and you live in a white middle class neighborhood, you should expect that your garage is going to get broken into, and that's just the price you pay to fight racism. So, so it doesn't matter what happens to us as individuals, because we are part of the collective is better. Like, even if there's 2 million, 3 million additional crimes that, if all the guns disappeared tomorrow and all these crimes happen because someone with a firearm stopped these crimes and they were to happen again, and of course there would be more, it's okay, because the collective, like, as a whole, as a society, we are better off, which is never true either, because only the people living in the upper scale, predominantly white, wealthy neighborhoods with a responsive police force that are the liberal elites, they're the only ones that are going to get better. But the second part of that is that it's all like the coronavirus. None of what I've heard, like none of the breathless hysteria, the terror, none of what I've heard about the coronavirus is reflected in my life. And, the couple of hundred people I know in my life and on Facebook, no one knows anyone who knows anyone that's on a ventilator or dying.
I brought this up the other day to someone. Matter of fact, it was that guy with the daughter. Yeah. I said, do you know anybody that's died of coronavirus? I mean, really. Not the one where a guy was in a car accident and they said, oh, he died in the car, but he also had the coronavirus.
Or he was 94 and he had stage 4 pancreatic cancer, which has a year to live, and he's on chemotherapy and radiation, and he died at 94, but that was the coronavirus.
But, hey, we checked him and he had corona. Yeah. But I don't know anybody that died of it. Nobody. Nobody. And ask, I plead people to go out and ask, do you know anybody? And here's the other thing. How many people are getting it? Well, how many people get the flu? And my brother, here's a good example. He's 10 years older than me, and I'm really old. I'm like, what, 64?
You're doing well, man.
Yeah, I'm doing well. He's got, like, cancer.
Sure.
He's got Parkinson. He's got some issues. So his wife and kid get the coronavirus, okay, because he's staying over there. And they said, well, he's got to move out. So they move him over to his daughter's house, okay? So you won't get the virus, right? So his wife and kid have the virus, and they're getting through it like the flu. Okay, he moves out with his daughter and their kids. Guess what? The whole family gets the virus plus him.
All right.
You know what he said?
What?
Well, I had it for one day. Felt like the flu.
And now we're going back to facts, logic, reason, common sense, and critical thinking are not incorporated in any way to being a.
So why do you think they're doing this? What's your view on this?
Well, because if you are a slave to an ideology, and it doesn't matter if you're not incorporating facts, logic, reason, common sense, and critical thinking, if you just believe this narrative that you're told, and then you buy into the collective, it's easy to be a modern communist. Because nothing of what you're hearing, it's all like racism, like we were talking about. So racism is on the rise in America. I don't see any signs of that. The KKK is not marching in the streets. No one has a Nazi flag. I don't know anyone that just hates black people because they're black people. I don't know anyone. And then what liberals always say, what the modern day communists and Democrats always say is, well, it's hiding. Well, if it's hiding, it's not on the rise. Well, you know what I mean? Racism is not on the march.
What are they trying to call racism now? They're trying to call it, instead of saying you're a racist, it's called, darn it, I can't
white privilege?
No, it's embedded in you.
Oh, all right. Okay. So this is unconscious bias.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah. It's embedded in you.
Right. You don't even know you're a racist.
You don't even know you're a racist.
No.
Yeah.
Which you can't solve racism if you don't know you're a racist. Which goes back to, I think, the modern communists, the Democrats. They know there's 2 reasons why they never solve a problem. The first is because they are just so, just undeniably incompetent that they never solve a problem. But they also structurally never solve a problem, because if they actually solved a problem, nobody would need them. You know, if you have like all these poor, impoverished, dependent people that want your government check, and you know, and you control them with housing, and you know, most landlords don't want them to, you know, you're not going to get a lot of money from the housing department, you know, so it's usually rundown apartments, and then the state comes in and they tell these people on housing, like, you got to fix all this stuff that your landlord, that's a, you know, fucking slumlord, doesn't want to fix up. So now you're all stressed out. You're part of this bureaucracy. You are completely dependent on the state for everything, and they will never solve the problem. You're never going to have, you know, you're never going to be successful. You're never going to have anything, because if you did, you wouldn't need the communists. You need the communists because everything's fucked up because of the communists, which will never solve anything.
And if
because
they solve the problem, your job's done here.
Right. You won't need them.
Yeah, you can go back to what you were doing before you were, you know, in Congress, right?
Yeah. So I had the funniest experience yesterday. So as far as I'm concerned, so the mask mandate, which, as far as I'm concerned, you know,
stupid.
Yeah, but it doesn't make any sense.
Doesn't make any sense.
Well,
and people are wearing handkerchiefs.
Yeah.
Around their face.
Random face coverings.
Yeah, the random things they find, underwear.
Yeah.
I saw a guy with a box on his head.
Right. There is that guy.
Yeah, who is that?
I don't know. I don't even know.
It's kind of like, remember the Unknown Comic with the bag over his head? This guy had a box over his head with a little thing. I'll see if I can find him.
Right. You know what? I miss the mask mandate only because it just I would get such blatant hostility by wearing a cardboard box, because you can't make fun.
Are we having that here in Utah?
Oh, it was done on the 10th, so I think yesterday.
Yeah.
Or maybe it's today. I think it was yesterday. So starting yesterday, I don't wear a mask, and I just don't. So so I go into Smith's, and the guy that was bringing in the shopping carts was gonna say something to me, and here's what's happened is that basically the workers with the least amount of power that are not treated well, like the guy bringing in the shopping carts is not treated well by people, and that's regrettable. Like I take my shopping cart back. I always say thank you. I'm very nice to them, because nobody's fucking nice to these people. Right. Even the people that work there aren't nice to them, because they're the lowest on the totem pole. But the only people that have ever asked me about about a mask are the people bringing in the shopping carts, and the same thing with like people at a grocery or at a gas station. So the guy making $8.50 an hour.
Well, do you think they ask them to? Do you think the management says, "Hey,
I think they do.
You're out there with
But I think they ask everyone to do it. But I think that there's another motivation for it. The workers with the least amount of power finally can tell somebody what to do, because they haven't been able to do that before. You know what I mean? So they get to finally tell somebody what to do. Because, I asked a person about that. I was like, why are you going through the effort of this? And he was like, well, I was told to. And I'm like, yeah, well, my boss tells me to do stuff too, but if I'm not getting paid for it, and like, you're not getting paid. If you were getting paid extra, and they were just going to say, listen, we want you to spend all your shift just fucking hassling people and dealing with all this negativity, we're going to pay you extra. Like, now you get to decide whether you want to do that or not. But if you're going to get paid the same and just fuck with people all day, either you have a personal power issue, or you're dumb. Like, I don't get it. So I go to Smith's, like, he was going to say something, and then he didn't, and then I was very... and when I wear the box, like the workers, like most
you're the box guy.
I am the box guy. I am the box guy. It's an oil. It used to have 3 gallons of oil in it. Now I wear it on my head because I want people to be safe, and I want to be safe.
You know what I mean? Be safe to be safe.
Right.
Why wear a condom? Right.
Exactly.
To be safe.
Right. And those in power that lied to us all along, and that have manipulated us through fear, and that have been wrong about everything. These are the people that are telling us what to do to be safe. So I need to respect that authority, because facts, logic, reason, common sense, and critical thinking don't matter. Oh, and NPR explained. Oh my God, I was going to tell you about this. NPR explained that I was in denial. Because I was, my best point about the coronavirus, because we had 90% mask compliance like by June or July of last year, but the coronavirus is still spreading. So clearly the masks aren't really working. But I like to point out to people that the homeless who don't sanitize, socially distance, or wear masks, and you know, like
they're not getting it.
No. If the homeless were lying dead all over the street, I would go, hey,
there you go.
This is a good deal.
Now there's a good point that hasn't been brought up yet.
Compromised immune systems. You talk about lack of sanitation. So the homeless camp under I-80 and 70th and Salt Lake.
Why aren't people lying dead like zombies, right?
Right, they should.
They should be lying around like zombies.
And this sounds terrible, and liberals will, the communists will hate it, but it would be cheaper.
Yeah.
Wipe them out, like, whatever. Like, I'm good with it. It's okay.
Let me check this. I wonder if it's still going.
Nice.
Here, I'm gonna.